So, and I want to be completely accurate on this. So let's go to the PW Insider website because they were the first to report this. I want to see what time exactly they reported this. I got to do some military time here because their stuff's in military time. That would be so literally right like 5 minutes after Raw went on the air. PW Insider reported that Sasha Banks and Naomi had walked out of Monday Night Raw. Now, I did a full write-up because there were two different stories that we got tonight. One from PW Insider initially breaking the news, and another one with an update from Fightful. Fightful also posted a statement by WWE, but let's read what I wrote on PW Unlimited, pwunlimited.co. When tonight's Monday Night Raw started, it was noted how the main event would be a number one contender six-pack challenge to see who would challenge Bianca Belair next for the Raw Women's Championship. The match was supposed to feature the likes of Becky Lynch, Asuka, Doudrop, Nikki ASH, Sasha Banks, and Naomi. Yet, the latter in Banks and Naomi did not like this plan, and they walked out. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Some say before, and some say right at the start of the show. First reported by Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Johnson reported that prior to tonight's Monday Night Raw, Sasha Banks apparently was not happy regarding her creative for tonight's show and ended up having a meeting with Vince McMahon. She asked to speak with Vince, and they obliged. Vince would not budge on the creative plans for tonight's Monday Night Raw, and neither would Banks as far as her not wanting to do it. When she realized that she, and I don't want to say this, but I do want to say this, when she wasn't going to get her way and Vince was not going to budge, she made a decision to leave the show, to leave the arena, to leave the broadcast. Naomi would leave with her, which is another interesting note because, according to a report from Fightful, Naomi was actually slated to win the number one contenders match and move on to Hell in a Cell on June 5th to challenge Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. That's the interesting part. It was also noted that Naomi was supposed to pin Sasha to win that match, which is another interesting note in itself. Now, during tonight's Monday Night Raw, they just said a couple of times, Sasha Banks and Naomi have left. This match is now a singles match. Becky Lynch and Asuka. That was a last-minute decision, as once Banks and Naomi left, apparently the word from Fightful is people were scrambling to figure out what to do next, which I don't understand why they didn't just make it a four-way, but yeah, it ended up being a singles match, which sucks for Doudrop and Nikki ASH because they got screwed out of being in the main event. Heck, they got screwed out of just competing at all and getting to perform at all tonight. Now, regarding all of this, WWE did release the following statement to Fightful and I think others in the media as well, as the statement read the following. When Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championships belts on his desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions. And even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed that they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they'd had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. Now, there's some things to deconstruct in this actual statement by WWE where, as Joey Janela put it, kayfabe in the mud here. But first off, they had 8 hours to rehearse, which means that they would have initially shown up to the building around noontime. But they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match. But if the whole thing was Sasha didn't want to be pinned by Naomi and Naomi didn't want to have to pin Sasha and Vince wouldn't budge on that, then what does them being able to rehearse things really matter? The other interesting one is they claimed they were, quote, uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they'd had matches with these individuals in the past with no consequence. Now we know Sasha Banks and Naomi have worked with Becky and Asuka in the past. Last week, as the tag team champions, they worked Nikki ASH and Doudrop. Now, I'm not naming any names here because I don't know who the two individuals they didn't want to work with are. But could it be that something happened last week in the match with Doudrop and Nikki ASH that they didn't like? I don't know. I'm not claiming that, but that is just what we can think based off of this statement. Basically, they said, Sasha went to Vince, and there's no word if Naomi was in that meeting with Vince and Sasha. All we know is Sasha asked to speak with Vince. She got the meeting with Vince. Vince wouldn't budge on creative plans. She wouldn't budge as far as not wanting to do it. And so she and Naomi left the building. Not the first time that Sasha did not like something that went down and just, pitched a fit and left. Now, it's unclear if any repercussions will come to either Banks or Naomi for handing in their titles and leaving the building before the show went on the air. Well, before the show went on the air, or right as the show went on the air, because, again, some are saying this happened before the show went on the air, but I have seen one state that this happened like right as the show was beginning. Like they walked out, like all this stuff with Vince and Sasha happened before the show, but then walking out was right as the show was starting. Hence, everyone had just scrambled to figure out what to do for the main event. So, follow the story very close. Try to figure out exactly what's going on, what could happen going forward. But Naomi and Sasha basically said, here are the belts. We don't feel respected as the champions. We're leaving. Had their suitcases in hand and walked out of the building. And we'll follow the story very close. If we do hear anything further, we will let you guys know. But we got